ladies and gentlemen, to the Cargo Connections Conclave 2022, presented by JSW Infrastructure, powered by Trans World Group, hosted by New Mangalore Port Authority, and organized by India Sea Trade and FIO. This session, ladies and gentlemen, will focus on the topic, developing efficient solutions in the face of changing customer requirements and industry dynamics. The key points that will be covered in the session would be understanding the changing customer requirements, developing dynamic solutions around those requirements, strategies to improve and maintain efficiency in the supply chain. Well, ladies and gentlemen, to debate these key issues, I'd like to welcome our esteemed panelists on stage. I know you have your cup of tea in your hand, but kindly keep your hands free for your applause, because I'm about to call the guests on stage right now. May I invite Mr. K.V. Premdev, Deputy Director, Marine Products Export Development Authority. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Dev started his career as a data analyst in an MNC in Trivandrum and joined MPEDA in 2008 as Assistant Director Statistics. He was promoted as Deputy Director in 2012 and worked at MPEDA regional offices in Mumbai and Kolkata. In his current role, he handles the regional office in Mangaluru, taking care of export promotion and aquaculture activities of both the states of Karnataka and Goa. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. K.V. Premdev with us in session 2 of the day. Welcome, sir. We also have with us someone who unfortunately will not be able to come to the dais and speak, but I'd like to take his name. He is Mr. Kishore Alva, President and Executive Director, Adani Group. He's really not feeling well enough to talk, and so he is with us today, but he won't be walking up on stage and joining the panel. I'd like to welcome you, however, sir, to the event. Yes, there he is. Thank you so much. Next, I'd like to invite Captain Rajagopal Swaminathan, Director Commercial, CMA CGM. Ladies and gentlemen, Captain Swaminathan's 17 years of sailing career started in 1990, of which the last 5 years were as master of the vessel. After coming on shore, he joined MSC Agency India, where he handled various profiles from field sales, marketing, trade capacity and pricing, and heading the Western region as Senior GM Marketing and Sales for 8 years. He has a master's degree in International Business Operations and is a member of the Institute of Chartered Shipbrokers since 2009. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Captain Rajagopal Swaminathan. Welcome, Captain. Over to our next panelist, Mr. Jude Gerald Govias, CEO, Stems and Leaves International. Mr. Govias is a first-generation entrepreneur and has over 29 years of experience in the field of minor minerals and granite stones. He has vast experience in international trading of granite stone and is skilled in handling quasi-mechanized operations of granite mining and processing. He's also the chief negotiator of the granite industry for the India GCO Open Market Bill Trading. He holds a Bachelor of Engineering degree from National Institute of Engineering, Mysore. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jude Gerald Govias for you. Welcome, sir. Well, let's move on to the next guest of the day, Mr. Abdur Rahman Masbah, Head of Finance, Cardolite Specialty Chemicals India, LLP. Mr. Musbah is a chartered accountant and cost accountant by profession. Prior to this, he worked in Mangalore SEZ Limited and ONGC Mangalore Petrochemicals Limited for 8 years. He was earlier a member of Managing Committee of Mangaluru branch of SIRC of CA Institute from 2016 to 22 and has been Vice Chairman for term 21-22. He is the Director of Canara Chambers of Commerce and Industry, Mangalore, since 2018. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Mr. Abdur Rahman Musbah. Welcome, sir. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, now over to the moderator of the session. To moderate session 1, I'd like to invite Mr. Walter D'Souza, former regional chairman of FIO and managing partner, Fernandez Brothers. Walter is a postgraduate in economics and industrial management. By profession, he is an importer and exporter of raw cashew nuts, export of cashew kernels, and cashew nut shell liquid. He has held various positions in industry associations, including chairman, Southern Region, Federation of Indian Export Organizations from 2011 till 2015. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Mr. Walter D'Souza as moderator of Session 2 of the Cargo Connections Conclave 2022. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to start the session. I'd like to open the floor, and the floor is all yours, Mr. Walter D'Souza. Let's look forward to a genuine, meaningful interaction like we had in Session 1. And do not forget that India Sea Trade has a representative out here. Their editor is here, who will be taking notes and has been always doing it for every session, diligently taking notes, preparing that, like Sir said, the body of literature or, the documentation, and a copy of that always goes to the Prime Minister of India and concerned authorities. So rest assured, your concerns and your points are taken care of. The floor is all yours, Mr. Walter D'Souza.
Good evening, friends. We are aware of a few things. First and foremost, that we are running behind schedule by about an hour. Secondly, this panel is aware that there was enough fire in the Session 1. Unfortunately for me, we have on our panel Captain Raj Gopal Swaminathan, who should be able to douse that fire to a certain extent. He's the commercial CMA CGM agencies private limited. And we have other panelists. Without taking much of your time, we'll straight away go for the discussion. As we have been a part of India Sea Trade conclaves right from the beginning in various parts of India, one thing I realized that over the years, that as we progress from one conclave and one conference to the other, that, we probably have more issues, more concerns, and more problems, which in a way proves that the trade is improving. Exim trade has certainly has grown exponentially. And along with that, we are accompanied with a few hiccups here and there, which have to be ironed out. And I'm sure this session will be, to a certain extent, doing that particular job. So welcome to all of you to this very important Cargo Connections Conclave organized by India Sea Trade and the Federation of Indian Export Organization. I represent the Federation of Indian Export Organizations. Now, I must, being a Mangalorean, welcome you to the port town of Mangalore, which has a history of over 900 years in exim trade. The recorded exim trade started in the 12th century here, and we have a long way. The acumen and the business prowess that our ancestors showed is beyond comparison. And Mangalore has come a long way, and there has been exponential growth in terms of the containers that have been handled in Mangalore. But it needed some impetus at a certain point of time. If I have to share just one example, we had hell of a problem here to introduce the container line in Mangalore. There was a lot of resistance. And I was the Government of India nominee on the Board of Port Trust here, and we somehow or other managed. And today, when it comes to costs, I can boldly say that the trading in the industry here, the exim trade industry here, is saving in excess of, collectively in excess of over 1 crore of rupees per day. You can imagine the type of potential that is there, given the impetus and the infrastructure that is demanded of the industry. Among the panelists, I am missing my good friend Kishore Alva. He would have been a very big asset here with his insights. Anyway, we'll now carry on. I will have a few questions to the panelists, and I request you to give your views, please. Then we'll have a question-answer session where you can have your questions answered here by our eminent panelists. Mr. Swaminathan. Swaminathan is not there, sorry. Sorry. But you're in KUCL also? No, I'm sorry, very wrongly printed here. I get confused because it's written here something else. How has demand for iron ore changed in the post-pandemic period? Something wrong here? One second. Okay, I got it now. I'll make the corrections myself here. No problem. Captain Rajagopal Swaminathan, how has the expectations of customers changed over the last few years, and what are your strategies to meet those new expectations? Pre-pandemic and post-pandemic, and also if possible during the pandemic. What are the expectations of your customers, and how the pattern of expectations changing?
Thanks. A lot of things have changed pre-pandemic and post-pandemic. First of all, let me put it this way, business has changed. And the moment the business has changed, business has increased, let me put it this way. People have become increasing, or let's say their expectations have also increased. Demands have gone up in terms of the efficiency that is required, especially when we are having to handle higher volumes of cargo. And we all know that the levels in terms of the cargo volumes, which was there pre-pandemic, and what we are seeing today has definitely gone up. So I would like to just also mention here, Rahulji was there some time back who was mentioning about the 30% increase that was there in the report card, right? But frankly, there is a 30% increase, or in fact double of that, on the volumes as well. So thanks a lot to the entire trade, to all the customers of the, let's say, Mangalore market, that they have supported the shipping lines, and the shipping lines have also grown. So coming back to the point that we were discussing with regards to the expectations, today the stress on the digital transactions has gone up tremendous. Now when we talk about digital transactions, we are talking about e-commerce requirements that is there. And the moment we talk about digital transaction, the second thing that also comes is always system downtime. What the customers want today is a very strong BCP that needs to be established, business continuity program, that needs to be established by most of the service providers. Shipping line not are excluded in this one. Definitely they are included in this. So the shipping lines, who, whether it is an attack of a cyber attack nature, or whether it is anything related to the system downtime that is there, they need a very strong, let's say, BCP in place. This is one of the requirement that is there. The second part that we are also talking about is with regards to the turnaround time of each and every query that is raised. Now, with increased volumes, definitely the strength of the staff has also been made different post-pandemic. The turnaround times is still a very big factor, especially when people are not having more time. Volumes have increased, but the day still is of 24 hours. The other part that we are also talking about is they are looking at options in terms of chat facilities that would be available with the shipping lines. And it's not just the chat facility. We are talking about even 24/7 services being made available. Now, these are certain things that has changed when we talk about post-pandemic as far as the requirements are concerned. One more important thing that is also there, when we speak about all those things like chat facility, turnaround time being increased, e-commerce facilities that should be provided, tracking facilities needs to be improved. When we talk about all these aspects, one important thing still the customer is insisting on is the human touch. So there is nothing that can take the human touch out of it, no matter how much level of digitalization that you are able to get in place. So coming to our strategy, which is the question again, as far as the second part of the question is, as far as CMA CGM is concerned, we have worked on 5 main pillars as far as the customer service requirements are concerned from our clients. And this is not just formed by us, this is formed after the 5 main pillars. The first pillar is a proper customer feedback. Quarterly NPS, Net Promoting Score surveys are being conducted by the line. And it's not just CMA CGM, there are all the lines who are trying to work towards this. So quarterly NPS is being conducted, surveys are being conducted, and feedback has been taken from the client to improve all the processes that we are involved with. The second thing that we are talking about is streamlining of internal processes. Because most of the time, and I use this sentence quite a lot in the last, let's say, 2 or 3 years, is when we talk about processes, there is one thing that we all need to know, that process should not defeat the purpose. And the purpose is to provide prompt service and to reduce the turnaround time. Whereas the internal processes that are set up in most of the times delays this specific turnaround time. And this is something that we are trying to work out on. The third thing is with regards to ease of business, where proactively our team is getting in touch with the customers and actually providing solutions to the customers when they are actually hitting a roadblock. Most important, communications that needs to be made easy. And on that part is where we were speaking about that we are trying to work towards the 24/7 assistance, especially with regards to the documentation aspect that is there. Last but not the least is the focus on training and upskilling of our team members. I myself, I am a faculty in one of the institutes, that is Narottam Morarji Institute of Shipping in Mumbai, and I do recognize the importance of training. There is nothing that can beat that. And when we talk about training and upskilling, we have internal training sessions that are organized for our team members, and at the same time, external sessions are also being conducted within our premises. So these are the initiatives that are taken by CMA CGM with regards to taking care of the enhanced customer requirements that has come post-COVID. Thank you.
Thank you, Captain Rajagopal, for having come out with the 5 pillars. I'm sure quality of service has definitely been enhanced. Now, you spoke about the human touch, and which is very, very important, because who is behind the computer is more important than the computer itself. That has been proved. Now, having said that, what the industry is looking at is stabilization of the ocean freights and the charges. During the pandemic to a certain extent and post-pandemic, and in the first session, quite a few questions were raised. I was also a casualty of this, having blocked a few containers at a particular ocean freight with a written communication. The ocean freight was hiked by about 30%. And when you have in the EXIM trade, what happens is that you have forward contracts, maybe for the next 3 months or 6 months, and which are pegged at the ocean freight which was existing at a particular point of time at the time of concluding business, and which has been a practice, and we are used to this practice for decades. And for the first time, what happened was this time the ocean freight was high, and many exporters have lost. Many exporters have lost, and so many complaints have come in. How could you check that, and how could you do that is a question which many people are asking.
How could I do that? Frankly, if I could have done that.
No, you are a good man, you will not do that.
If I could have done that, trust me, I would have done that way back in 2008 and 2009. We would still be having big shipping lines like CSAV. We would be having companies like APL. We would be having companies like Hanjin Shipping, UAC, name it. I could keep going on and on. Last but not the least, Shipping Corporation of India, which used to serve the Europe and the US continent. Unfortunately, 2009 also saw the decline of the Indian national flag. I would say decline, not the end. So as far as the freight rates are concerned, I would like to mention one thing very clearly. It is 100% market driven. Today, when you look at the freight rates, I can see a lot of happy faces over here. Definitely, if we could control the freight rates, we would still be doing it. But again, the answer is, it's not the case. Freight rates are coming down, and it's a simple, fundamental supply and demand. Let me put it very clearly. We exist in this world is because of supply and demand. Don't ask me more details into this. But we all exist in this world because of supply and demand. So there is nothing more that I would like to add with regards to why the freight rates went up. We also spoke about record liftings. So I would like to just dwell upon a couple of points with regards to the why this entire thing went up. So COVID came, 2020. The entire world went into a lockdown. Assets were completely unutilized. July 2020, things started coming and bouncing back to normal. And that bounce was even higher than Shoaib Akhtar's bouncer, let me put it this way. And when that happened, nobody had the time actually to realize as to how, what, where you would be deploying the capacities. A businessman will always be looking at sectors where he can make money. And I'm 100% sure even you would be doing the same thing with your consignees. Whoever pays the best, you focus on that specific area. If you talk about a specific commodity, today the demand is more from the North African sector. You are trying to focus on the North Africa sector. Syria, Libya, these are the areas where you get a very high yield. So that is how the capacities were also put. But were these capacities utilized? The answer is no. The capacities were not utilized to the optimum. The capacities had a very high turnaround time. Assets are meant to be sweated all the time. But unfortunately, that is not what happened in this case. Turnaround time today of the vessels, just to keep you all updated, has not come back to normalcy. Even today, vessels are staying in US, East Coast, for example. People were talking about Indian ports. We should all congratulate ourselves that we had a seamless activity of shipping throughout the COVID period in India, across all the ports. The only port, I think, which went slightly above in terms of the terminal, sir, that I'm mentioning, was the Mundra port, which achieved the maximum in terms of the inventory levels. Otherwise, rest all the ports were performing fantastic. What happened in the Western world or in the United States was catastrophic. And we are still feeling the impact of that catastrophe. 12 to 18 days is the waiting period today outside US East Coast ports. When we talk about Germany, the entire intermodal has collapsed, if I may use the word. Strikes are a common feature, and that is where the disruption is happening. The disruption is not on the seaside. Point A to point B is not the problem. The problem is before point A, and the problem is after point B. That is where the entire supply chain actually collapsed. So, talking about how the freight rates, let's say, are going to behave, if that is what is the question, then let me put it this way. Supply and demand is going to govern the thing. We all know that there are a dip in terms of the volumes that is there, especially in the major economies. And there are a couple of things which are actually the reasons for this which has happened. A little bit of overstocking which happened post the pandemic. The way the customer consuming behavior changed. And today, let me give an example. Marks and Spencer's doesn't support us in India much, but at the same time, a t-shirt manufacturing company is actually exporting much more to Europe or to US. Why is that? Everybody working from home is working in t-shirts. They are not buying those crisp white shirts anymore. I'm just giving you a small example. Like this, there are much more if we dwell into the detail as to which vertical has grown, which vertical has come down. Not to stress this too long, but to mention one more thing. Post-pandemic, there was something which was called as a revenge tourism which was happening. People started spending more on services, travel. You might have seen all the images where people were stuck in airports. People were stuck in airports without any proper facilities in Europe and in the US. Total chaos. And when we speak again with regards to the entire movement of goods, the demand actually came down because services was more focused on. What is going to happen in the future? Because of this lack of demand, there is a lot of drop in terms of volumes. And when we say drop, you can estimate it anywhere between 20 to 25% in certain categories. In certain categories, it has a drop by 40%, but in certain categories, it has gone up by 10 to 15%. Today, India, the imports is at an all-time high. Just to also congratulate all ourselves, cashew imports has done almost the maximum or the record high as far as a line like CMA-CGM is concerned, just to keep you all updated. When we speak about a couple of things that are going to change in the future or the influences that would be there, number one are the prospective spike which could happen in the future. Just keep this in mind. July 2020, after a lull, everything went spiked up. People have actually started starving in terms of import of goods. When I say starving, it is the movement of goods on imports. People actually have not started importing big time from August or July 2022 onwards. Come January and February, remember all this lands or lasts for almost 6 months, generally a cycle. And now we could see a spike by Jan or Feb. The second part that is there is with regards to the current gap in the supply and demand. Yes, there is a volume shortage, but there is IMO 2023, which is also going to come effective 1st of Jan 2023, the new regulation. And this is different from 2020. A lot of capacity absorption is going to happen during this period from Jan 2020 onwards. In simple words, ships will have to sail slower to comply with these regulations. I am open for questions at a later stage when we talk about it. A lot of volumes, because of the higher freight rates, relatively higher freight rates, shifted from from containerization into break bulk. Now when the freight rates are coming back to normalcy, again we are going to see that shift coming backwards. Remember, containerization grew at the cost of the break bulk cargo. Consumer behavior and spending, as I mentioned, from services, they would come back to the goods in a while soon. And that could change the equations. Last but not the least, the charter markets and the bunker prices, because of the geopolitical situations, we need to keep a track of that also. So in simple words to summarize, yes, there could be a relative stabilization of the freight rates, but my simple request to everybody in this room, especially to all the exporters and the importers, is be in constant communication with the shipping lines. Make sure that you share on a transparent basis what are your requirements. Because if your volumes are going to grow 30%, trust me, we have to deploy 30% additional capacity. If we don't know that 30% increase which is going to come, we will not be in a position to deploy that capacity. So at the end of the day, it's all a matter of supply and demand. And sorry to keep this a little bit long, Walter. Thanks a lot.
We thought you would come out with a good news for 2023, but you have already sounded the siren saying that 2023 is not going to be as good as we expected it to be. The industry expected it to be much, much better. One question that was doing its rounds, and I'm asking in the lighter vein, they said that shipping companies made more money in 1 year than they lost during the last 1 decade. That's one point. Secondly, and to correlate with the demand for marine paints, because I am supplier of the raw material for marine paints. For my exports went up by at least 300%. And the reason I was wondering as to why it happened, and they attributed it to this, that shipping companies which had not painted their ships for decades have started painting wherever the paints were not required. Will you please throw some light on that?
Okay, as far as the paints part is concerned, no, for sure. But I will explain a little bit on the technical aspect of it also. Just to keep you updated, the demand was very high in 2021 and 2022. Even vessels which were supposed to go to the graveyard or let's say the scrapyard were pulled back and they were put in service. Why? Again, cargo demand was very high. Dock or let's say dry docks were not available because the people were not available because of the COVID related issues. We know how China was impacted, right? And because of that, there were a lot of issues across major dry docks in the world. So definitely, as far as the classification society was concerned, they had actually given regulated, let's say, extensions for the vessels in terms of their service, right? So this is one aspect. The second aspect, why the marine paints demand could be going up, is also because one of the key contributors on the IMO 2023 is EEXI, Energy Efficiency Index. And the second part is CII, that is the Carbon Intensity Indicator. Under EEXI, which is the owner's responsibility, they are supposed to achieve efficiency in terms of the vessel. And when we say efficiencies, in simple words, Swami at the age of 18 and Swami at the age of 50. We need to redefine this thing. How do I do it? In simple words, there has to be some kind of an efficiency at 50. You cannot be 18, but something has to contribute. How do you contribute? By having special grade of paints, silicon based, on the hull of the vessel, which will actually minimize the friction of the vessel when it is moving towards water. And this is what is actually going to also partially contribute to complying with the regulations of IMO 2023. Thanks a lot. And the first part of it, shipping lines, whether they made bumper profits or record profits.
You tell me later.
100% I take pride in this. Yes. And we thank you all for that.
Huge money.
So
No,
just one more on that
Yeah.
part. Just to also update. These, whether
Coming
this,
from the horse's mouth.
the profits were made, but just to also assure all of you, let's understand, a lot of infrastructure spend has been done. 1 million TUs of containers were ordered in the last 2 years. There are record number of new buildings which have been placed, and that is to cater to the trade.
But that did not benefit India. Payment went from India, infrastructure got built elsewhere.
It's a global thing. We live in a totally global scenario. Today, for example, when I buy a phone, for example, I would like to know how many of that money stays in India and how many goes abroad. So it's a debatable part of it. Let's not get involved into that. But at the end of the day, let me put it this way. As far as CMA CGM is concerned, one thing I can mention to you, the whole impact, or let's say the efforts that has been taken, has been to actually cater to the trade requirements. Yeah?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Captain Rajgopal Swaminathan. You mentioned about IMO 2023 to be in place from January 1st, 2023. You also said that the movement of the vessels will be slower. Would that mean that the voyage time will be longer? How much longer would that be, please?
A lot of work has been going on. So it's a combination of the size of the vessel. It's a combination of the age of the vessel. It's a combination of the cargo that is carried and which trade it is plying. So all those combinations put together, they are working on a specific formula. So dead weight carried over distance traveled. And based on that, it is actually being graded or ranked in various categories. And that is where it is going to come in terms of how much they have to slow down. So as an example, I can tell you today, India to Europe, we all need to be ready, as an example, that the transit times, instead of a 56-day round trip, it is going to be a 63-day round trip, which means 3.5-day increase in terms of transit time westbound and eastbound.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. We'll now move on to the marine products, which is a very important commodity which is being exported out of Mangalore, also the coastal belt. And we have in KV Premdev, the Deputy Director. I would like to know, Premdev, how has the global demand for aqua products changed over the last couple of years? Say, pre-pandemic, during pandemic, and post-pandemic.
Yeah.
We can say it that way.
Very good evening to all of you. And first of all, thank you for inviting Embeda for this function. I should thank for FIO and Cargo Conclave, this thing. Then, sir, coming to the question, actually, we all know that marine products is the second largest commodity trade all over the world after iron ore and all these things, and oil, petroleum products. So, that is the importance of the sector, sir. And if you see the export from the country, 2010-11 to 2021-22, the quantity is increased from 8.1 lakh ton to 13.69 lakh tons. Similarly, if you see in the US dollar value term, it is increased from 2.8 to 7.7 billion tons. And we all know that the government has set a very auspicious target of achieving 20 billion by 2028 to us. So we hope that can be achieved. So that is the prospect of the industry, sir.
And of course, this question has been answered by Captain Rajagopal Swaminathan, but still I would like to say the impact of ocean freight on the marine products exports.
Yes, sir. Actually, I think there is no marine exporters here. I have not seen any of my members here. So I have to represent for all of them. Sir, if you see the freight, I have collected some data from them. So if, say, for example, if you see the main destination of Indian marine products is US, followed by China, European Union, and Japan. So the US freight has increased from 10,500, 1 year back it was 4,000 to 8,000 US dollar. Now it is increased to 10,500 to 15,000 US dollar. So that's the increase it happened. Similarly, EU, it was 2,500 to 4,000 US dollar. Now it is 5,800 to 6,500 US dollar. And Japan, it was 1,500 to 3,400. Now it is increased to 2,900 to 4,600. So when we compare the export, when we see consider the export from this port, Mangalore port, most of the things are going to Thailand. So if you see the Thailand fare, it was 1,700 to 1,800 earlier. Now it is increased to 3,200 to 4,500 and double, sir. 100%. So there are other issues also like availability of containers, reefer containers. So that's a major issue. And in port aspect, the availability of plug point also is an issue. If suppose somebody is booking it and the container reach little early, they are asking more money. So those are the issues mainly. And if you see the trade from what is happening from Mangalore to abroad, mostly the mother vessel is at Colombo. So this feeder is sending them, taking the cargo and sending to mother vessel. So that how better we can improve, that we have to see that. Now Adani has taken over this port, so we expect some. JSW, sorry, Adani, not Adani port, that is Colombo. Sorry. So we are expecting something in that.
What are you expecting? Things to go up or down?
Go up, sir, definitely. Positively, we are thinking. And landing also, sir, if you see, the landing has increased tremendously, especially sea material landing. So export is definitely will grow. So we have to arrange the logistic movement for that, take care of that. Thank you.
Okay, okay. Yeah, because it's an ambitious target from 7.7 billion to go to 20 billion. You think there will be enough marine products available?
Sir,
it's not something which is
for
generated.
that, we are, so the, most of the time the target is fixed by sirs are there, so they know it. So ministry is fixing a target, we have to work accordingly. So it is achievable if we can increase the aquaculture production from present level to some 50% increase is happening in that aquaculture production. It is achievable, sir. And marine, see, especially when we talk about marine export, the source of material is two. One is aquaculture production and another is the capture production. So capture production mainly coming from sea, which we don't have much control on that. But aquaculture production we can increase.
What is the growth, CAGR of aquaculture?
It is, as of now, exact figure I don't know. When compared to last year
Yeah.
because of COVID and when compared to this year, it was around 3% growth is there.
3%.
3% growth in aquaculture production. So aquaculture product is high value product, not unlike marine products.
Yeah.
I mean capture products, it is high value products, mostly shrimp.
Yeah. Coming back to another point, Swaminathan. See, what has happened is that over the period of time, availability of 20-foot containers is becoming a huge problem. And whatever is available is not usable. Yeah, because the condition of the 20-foot containers is in such a dilapidated state that we bring quite a few containers and send them back and then bring again. What is the solution for that? Has the industry shifted more to the 40-foot all over the world, or what is it?
There is a marginal shift that has happened. I'm not saying that it has not happened towards 40-footers for certain commodities, but that was because of the shortage of the 20-footers. And let's first understand, India imports a lot of raw material. Metal scrap comes in a very big way as far as imports are concerned. If you look at the statistics, till February, I would say, we were not importing at all. 2022. It was at an all-time low. India came out of the lockdown after Feb 2022. Let us also understand that. Travel from any city to the other city across India also started becoming easier. All of us started traveling only post-Feb. It's only when we travel, the demand actually goes up. We have all come over here, the amount of cups of tea that we have drunk over here. Thanks, Sudhir, for that. These are all demands. And these demands will only drive the imports up. We depend a lot on raw material. Raw material are relatively denser cargo. They are the ones which moves in 20-footers. At the same time, there was a huge demand of these boxes which had gone over there, also in China. But the turnaround time of the boxes was totally impacted. Every truck wanted to carry lightweight 40-footers in the US and in Europe. They didn't want to use the same trailer for a 20-footer. What happened? The 20-footers were lying in the ports and the various transshipment terminals across the world. So yes, there was a kind of a step motherly treatment given to 20-footers. I'm not saying no, but it is more to do with the nature of the carry a 20-foot container carries. Same weight, 28 tons, whereas a 40-footer carries only 26 tons for the double of the cubic capacity. So that is the reason why the 20-foot is the thing. But today when you look at it, and let me be very specific, even Prem, just for your information, the freight levels that you have mentioned, if you are giving me that freight level, all the boxes are yours. I'm taking that paper right now.
Actually, this is the information I collected from my exporters. They may be changing.
Our coastline may
I
have
also
to be
agree
doubled.
that this year it little come down, but still it is in the very higher side. And they are routing their consignment mostly to Navseva and Kochi.
Just to also assure all of you over here, with regards to the schedule integrity of the vessels is one thing, and the problems that are there at the various ports at the destination is also. So the boxes today are actually moving. So empties are coming in. Just to keep you updated, during 2021, a shipping line like CMA CGM, 50% of our export requirements, we were actually moving empty into India. These empties were coming all the way from the US into India. Every vessel, 1,500 40-foot empty containers were being positioned into India. So, not that I'm saying it is the demand, it was being taken care of. So, as of today, as we speak, the 20-foot volumes are appearing, are coming in. We don't foresee an issue with regards to the 20-foot availability is concerned. With regards to the quality of the boxes, we import metal scrap and we import a lot of cargo which comes as pulses from Africa, for example. The boxes which goes to Africa are not of the high quality again. And at the same time, when there are shortage of boxes for the pulses, for example, the customers don't want to wait. They just want to grab whatever is there in the yard and then they take it and stuff it and bring it over here. Right? So today when we look at it, the boxes are coming in, just to assure all of you. One thing as far as CMA-CGM is concerned, I would like to mention, we do not issue boxes for scrap material which is more than, or let's say less than 8 years old, just for your information. Less than 8-year-old boxes nowhere in the world we are allowed to give for scrap loading. And that is the reason.
What about the other liners? Do they also practice more or less the same norm?
Depends. Each and every line, because at the end of the day, let's face it, it is FAK, freight all kinds. So you cannot distinguish. So it is CMA-CGM which has got this stringent regulation in terms of the focus.
You spoke about 1 million TEUs being deployed in the year 2023. What will be the ratio of 20 feet TEU and 40 feet?
Definitely, it is much higher on the 40-footers.
I think.
It's skewed as 20 and 80.
20 per 80. Okay. Thank you. Now we move on to a granite exporter, Mr. Jude Gerald Govies. Could you please give us your perspective on the trade, the problems that you face, and the solutions that you propose?
Good evening to you all. First of all, I would consider today as auspicious day. We've been crying for last 2 years about somebody to take up this logistic freight problems. And today is a good news that India's sea trade has taken it up and brought us all together to convey our feelings towards what's happening around. But at the same time, it's bad news too. The bad news is the tsunami has come and tsunami is over. This morning, when I opened up the freight rates, a freight which was $2,400 for Jebel Ali from Mumbai has come down to $180. So the time has passed for the high sea freights. Now, we are all talking about the high-level exporters, like, the rich exporters and big liners. I'm a very small exporter. I'm representing the granite industry. I'm representing those people who send out 2 to 10 containers every month. Sea trade, India sea trade, there is a request with you. If you can make a smaller forum for us guys to put our grievances, because we can't talk in this bigger stage. This is in multi-billion. See what happened? CMA-CGM swallowed Saf Marine, they become bigger. Maersk swallowed somebody else, they became bigger. At the end of the day, on our graves, they got their bonuses. Yes, they got their bonuses. The gentleman who was sitting in the center in the last panel said, this is all a number game. Yes, agreed, sir, number game. Somebody loses, somebody gains. Fantastic. But not on somebody's deathbed. MSME sector is dying in Mangalore and granite industry is collapsed. Entirely collapsed. Nobody is coming to our rescue. We were exporting to Europe at $1,200. Let me correct you, the Captain Brain. $1,200 before pre-pandemic level to northern countries in Europe. That freight rate went up to 11,800. And we were not getting boxes. Now, they have said it is rolled back. This morning, the good news is it is somewhere around 3,000. But it is 3 times higher than the pre-pandemic level. Now, when government of India or government of Karnataka manages things in India, there's a thing called as ESMA during the strike. These rich corporations are taking our money, the difference in dollar earning also, and not giving us anything. The CMA-CGM representative said, we have carried in free containers from US to India so that we can make boxes provided. So that means you are making money from here, but not allowing us to enjoy the fruit because we have to feed our staff. I'm having to feed around 130 people in my 2 factories. We know the problems we go to see to that the ends meet. Nobody listens to us. We have problems with the bankers. If we do not perform in a bank, we have paid their monthly EMIs, their interest and everything, but still they will charge us a penalty because we have not looked after our projected financials. During pandemic, anybody asked this stupid question? But nobody is coming to our rescue. Sir, this is a very good effort. Now, what we have spoken is the history. Everything which was spoken here is about the history. Nobody has spoken about the exact point of coming and making how efficient we can make it in the future day. Standardization is the first point. The first panel took it up. Yes, make it standardized. Make it standardized even for the prices what these container lines are going to charge us. Let it be a standard. You put regulations. Suppose if it is downtime, you put this is the minimum price, upscale, this is the maximum price. Billions of dollars they earned, sir. Billions of dollars they earned on whose money? Our money, our hard-earned money. They would just sit in their comfort zones in the AC rooms, etc., make their calculations, and then they would say, who would get the container? And the last panel, the gentlemen were saying, even the big exporters were saying, we used to book online. Mr. Walter also agreed, but our online bookings are cancelled just because somebody is playing. So that means the system of computing and the software is a nonsense system. How can an online generated booking be cancelled? Who is holding people responsible? Nobody. India has got a policy for that. You are allowing these multinationals to come and supply us the containers, take our money in dollars, and become richer and richer and richer. Have you put a regulation point that from India, if you operate, you are getting in so many containers, your container freight to this particular areas cannot go higher than this? Has anybody come up and put a condition for them? All our organizations are sleeping. Nobody is talking about it. They say it's a give and take policy, yes, but not over somebody's dead body. And coming to the efficient ways of managing this system, first, all the exporters from our region, or rather from India, are not educated well. Particularly, a lot of online developments are taking place. Everything is coming online. But the exporter having the minimum capacity, exporter like me, small exporters, having a minimum capacity of having 1 accountant or 3 accountants, doesn't have the time to go and educate his accountant with this formality. So he depends upon the CNF agent who in turn takes him for a ride. You yourself said about that house BL. So these things can change hands. And the $180 which was quoted to me this morning directly by a liner was quoted as $250 by one of my freight forwarder. So education is important. Second thing is regulating the liners in India waters is a must, sir. It is my submission to you with grievance in my heart that you have to regulate the prices, because if they cannot make money, let them not come to India, sir. Let them not have operations. There are some liners who do not serve northern part of Africa, northern part of America. Let them not serve India because they are making their money, because they have to have a policy. They cannot treat everybody in the same level. They say that we have a policy for Africa, then have a policy for India, right? You have a policy for America, Africa, and the Far East in a different way. Have a policy for India, right? Because India is giving you numbers. India is giving you volumes. You are getting free containers from all over the world into India to get business from India. Fine, but then give some kind of, I wouldn't say that discount, some kind of leverage back to the country, right? You are very happy to say that we made a lot of money. And we are very happy, the port people saying it's all a number game. But mind you, sir, this number game is going to be a curse for you all. It is on somebody's deathbed that you are making this money. Thank you.
Thank you, Jude. we'll elicit some questions from the audience and then they will take a call. Now I go to the, sorry, yes? Yeah, it's there. Yeah, now I move on to the, shall I say the O's or the good time that the SEZ is having. We have the representative of Cardolite, Mr. Abdul Rahman Musbah, who will throw some lights on the problems faced by them or the suggestions they have and how the situation is at the SEZ.
I'm representing from KCCI. It was a very bad situation for exporters, as most of you are aware. So let me just recap. As Jude sir said, the problem is high freight rate, huge transit time, not availability of containers, not availability of container space in the ships. And then the shippers have to do, those who are capable enough, those who had the resources, could try to divert the ship to different ports, go to LCL, use 40-foot containers. And then the freight rate was all-time high. But then we have to also, what sir said is true, that there need to be a balance of the freight rate, but then we also have to take a step back and see how we have to survive, because it is not good for industries to die. The situation of COVID, the pandemic, the lockdown, the high freight rates was a black swan event which no one expected. So we have to be prepared to expect the improbable, not the impossible, the improbable. And accordingly, we have to have a long-term plan on how to achieve, operational efficiency, to have lean manufacturing. It's very difficult for MSME, single person managing, because you have to manage everything. All the department is in this, all the department, all the function, he himself to manage. He have to go to bankers, he have to go meet the customers, he have to oversee the production, he have to see the supply chain. But a long-term plan, people have to implement lean manufacturing. Is easy, is not simple to do, is tough to do. But then we have to implement reduction of your turnaround time, your risk analysis, which areas are risks, how can we expect the improbable in order to survive, because the world is become very volatile. As the years goes, due to various climate change, due to regulation, due to various governance issue, people are being aware for a lot of sustainability things. Things have become very volatile. Laws have become volatile. Now you have a situation of a war in Ukraine. That has changed the global geodynamics. So that is very important for people to overcome this. It takes time. First, you have to transform your HR department to be a learning center. Then you have to do a transformation of your head of department to, gain, to turn around, and slowly, then you can implement more and more things on the cost and efficiency reduction, how to reduce power. There should be most brainstorming in your association, at the chambers and other places, so that all these things can be overcome. To give a gist, regarding a freight cost, the Baltic index was in March 2006 was 1,800. In April 2008, it went to 11,500. In March 2010, the Baltic index, which is the index for the freight use, it was 4,000. In June 2016, it was 305. In August 2021, it was 5,000. And now, in November, it is 1,300. In April 2008, it was the all-time high, about 11,500. But the economy was booming. Everyone was making money. Commodity prices were going up. So people did not find a pinch, because it was driven by, there was full demand till the recession fell and it started dropping down. So we have to, see how well we can educate our customers on a higher freight cost and higher, because if you're going to import and re-export, if you import, manufacture and re-export, then you'll have much more challenges because of transit time, the higher freight for import, then your value addition may remain same, and again higher freight. So all these things you have to continuously educate your customers well in advance. That is one thing, and try to reduce your fixed costs, trying to go for more of a variable cost approach, and try to get much more, cost efficiencies in your production and in your operation. Thank you.
Thank you, Abdul Rahman Musbah. Now, the floor is open and we elicit a few questions on whatever has been deliberated here. Yeah. Sri Nagaraj Shetty.
Good evening, Captain. So this is a question for not only for CMA CGM, it is for all the lines. As you know, as per the new latest rule, we have to file a bill of entry before arrival of the vessel. Otherwise, we will be penalized 5,000 rupees per day. Second is your vessel is coming, feeder vessel, on Friday, and the cargo will be landed on Saturday. And we have a weekend holidays. As you know very well, we got 3-4 departments are involved. First of all, plant quarantine, FSSI, and customs. So now, in good olden days, I'm telling again, I don't want to talk about the freight. Good olden days, you were giving 14 days, 18 days, 12 days free times. Now, when the demand is up, then the demand is more, you have started giving only 4 to 5 days. So now, out of 4 days, we are already lost for 3 days. 1 day container was on board. 2 days, Saturday, Sunday was a holiday. So Monday only we have to start our process. So unnecessarily, my importer and exporter has to pay the damage for the for the lines. So this is for all the lines I am requesting you. Kindly consider on humanitarian grounds. At least this is weekend holidays can be exempted so that my importer, exporter of this place, I am not talking about other ports, whether they can be exempted, giving that concession for the whatever holidays are there. Because as you know, in India, number of holidays is very much. Every day, every alternate day, there is a holiday. So we are finding difficult to process it. As of course you rightly said, 24/7 I am happy. Because in good olden days, again I am telling you, because I completed more than 45 years in shipping. So we used to talk one-to-one direct. And we used to book the cargo. Now we have been shifted to direct exporter and importer. They will talk to you and book the containers. We never speak. Only we get the confirmations. Second thing is, very important, after shipment, to getting your invoice. As you know, all the major lines here now, they got a separate company called service provider. So they are not working 24/7. They are working up to 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock. Suppose in hurry-burry in the last day, third day, as you know, my importer are also very much keen whether dollar rate will come down. So he'll wait for the last day when he release a document by paying 83 rupees or 84 rupees per dollar. Then he'll come and deliver to me as a clearing agent. So after clearance, if I submit this thing to payment to your service provider, I'm not getting the due. Then they said Saturday, Sunday, Monday morning, subah dega. So these are the problems are popping up one by one. This is not for you, CMA, CGM. I am asking for it because now service providers, most of the lines are started telling. Those two things is very important. Sorry, sir, because we have no control on that. This is a service provider and a computer speaks. Second thing is, if I want to ask for negotiation of the freight, sir, we are sorry, sir, this has come from the head office from Denmark. So like that, we get this thing. So olden days and now new days, there are a lot of difference. Can you help me, sir, on these grounds?
Sure. I don't know where is Denmark, though. I know where is Marseille. So, no worries. As far as there's a very valuable point that you had mentioned. And as I mentioned that we have been regularly engaging our customers and with regards to the 24/7 working. That is one. And this has come from the feedback of the various surveys that we did with our customers on a quarterly basis. So my only request is whenever a survey form comes to you, we are requesting each and every person. In fact, our sales and customer service person calls up, begs our customers to please respond to that. So there is a requirement that goes from our side.
Sir, we have taken the matter with FIO. FIO has spoken with NMPT. NMPT has sent letters to all the liners, but no action is taken. We gave 2 or 3 suggestions, but no action is taken from the liners.
So initially, the back office or the GBS, the CMS counters that used to work till 4 o'clock, just for information, we have extended the time, if I'm not mistaken, till 6 o'clock, 6, right? Till 6 o'clock in the evening. So just for your information. So Rai is here, who is our Mangalore branch manager. So I'll confirm that again, but it's 6 o'clock, number one. The second part is, as I mentioned, the strategies or the initiatives that we are taking is towards working 24/7, right? At the end of the day, we do understand that work never stops, whether it is Saturday, Sunday. We know what happened during the COVID pandemic. Even 24 hours was never a stoppage for us. We were working 24/7. So we are working towards that, and you will definitely find the improvements that are coming in place.
Can you change a little bit on the service provider? Because again,
We will definitely take your point with the service provider.
my problem is, as not only CMS India, that service provider working for 3-4 lines.
Well noted. So I do understand, and my only request is, please, where possible, don't wait for the last day to get the documents ready.
I'm not waiting. My importer waiting for whether dollar rate will come down.
No problems. So we'll point well noted. We'll definitely take it up. Thank you.
Sir, my name is Srinath from Sai Sri Enterprises. Excellent speech, Captain. And also we have got excellent support from Roy and Roy combo. I have one question about the quality of MTs. One side you said categorically, is it, can you hear it? Are you hearing? One side you categorically said demand and supply drives the ocean freight. On the other side, while you are talking, you also said 50% of the MTs for the purpose of exports are repositioned from USA. So in these two statements, what I want to ask you is, at least that 50%, why don't you get the right containers, empty containers for our trade, particularly for food grain like coffee? Most of the containers, more than 50 to 70%, we have to fight to get the surveys, or we have to go and persuade the Rai and Rai combo to immediately repair it and give it to us. So when you are taking a right price on the demand and supply, why don't you place the right MTs for our trade?
Perfect. So just to clarify, when I mentioned about US, that was just an example which I gave, that 1,500 boxes used to come 40 footers from the US. The remaining 50%, when we say the imbalance between import and export that we needed to bridge, this comes mainly from the Middle East Gulf, Africa, and Colombo, right? The cargo within this specific areas, when it comes, remember there is a huge demand. We ourselves are pushing the supply to be done faster. When the vessel comes over here and when it goes to the, let's say, depots, there is again a tremendous pressure. As far as coffee is concerned, we definitely take a very good care to the maximum possible practical limits in terms of providing the boxes. I don't want to compare myself with the other shipping lines, but I'm sure we are all sensitive to the fact that coffee demands a better or relatively better quality of boxes, and we are definitely trying to work towards that.
Thank you very much, sir. I am also not comparing. I only request, if there is a repair is required, let it be done as early as possible so that the trade also will benefit. That's all, it's request.
Sure, and just to clarify, during the peak pandemic, there was no oxygen supply available for non-medical purposes. Just to clarify.
Yeah,
Thank
go
you,
ahead. Yes.
Sir, one more point to make. Sorry, the gentleman from Granite Industry, when he was talking, He was on the flow. We appreciate his problems in the granite industry and MSME. In the flow, he said when a particular trader, importer, exporter faced the problem, he has referred to the CHA who gave a wrong guidance. I particularly feel this is full of CHAs are there. All CHAs cannot be generalized like that. This I would like to make the point in a CHA forum here. Because making this type of statement, the CHA is wrongly guiding is not correct. And on the other side, I can also tell, whenever the trade is facing problem, or whenever CHAs go back to the trade, importer or exporter, saying that there is a problem, we need a joint solution, that time it is told, somehow you manage. That somehow you manage quotes is really problem. See, today most of the exporters, particularly in our industry, coffee industry, the exporters know equally what CHA knows. So it is very easy to take a decision and give you the best of the services. And this type of forum, the CHAs making derogatory comments and general comments should be avoided. Thank you.
Can I answer that?
Yes.
Gentlemen, I am a Bachelor of Engineering, very well versed with the present software and internet ideas. Probably my office is best in the world for granite exports. We have raw material, monuments, and value addition material which we export. And we do trading across the globe. We have offices outside also. When it comes to this, we have educated our accountants and our assistant software analysts to take care of it every time when a digitization process happens, to understand that and learn about it and then give a report and work on that. Now, this problem, what I have put across, I have told you I am representing the small set of people who are from 2 containers to 10 containers, who do not have a proper accounting office, and who are being misled by the clearing and forwarding agents. My best friend, Mr. Nagaraj Shetty, his younger brother, Mr. Nityanand Shetty, I have got relationship with their companies for the last 30 years. I have been doing business in Chennai also, but there was never an intent to blame somebody, but it is a representative issue which I wanted to put it across to India Sea Trade, that these kind of practices are happening. My whole point of telling India Sea Trade is educate, because that is why we are here today. To enhance the possibility of have a better supply logistic chain. Am I right, sir? Yeah. This is the answer for your question, sir.
Sir, without getting into the argument, let me make my point. I am also from BE from Anna University, MBA from IIM Ahmedabad, 22 years experience in the CHA industry. Now also you said misled by the CHA. That is the only thing which I try to object. Thank you very much. I don't want to get into that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All the best with CME to get some more discount and run your business. Thank you.
That's all right. Clarification has been given. So with that we close this particular.
One question, sir, please.
No, 1 minute. Stephen, 1 minute. Who are you, please?
See, today we are talking about ease of doing business, speed of doing business. One best thing which Mangalore Port provided was that we could put a container at morning. In the morning we could clear and load it into any liner by evening. And the VGM and other technical words are involved here. Some ports had, smaller ports did not have. Once the freight rates went up, they stopped all this. From 2 days they went up to 5 days. Now you have to book your container and wait. If you delay by 1 or 2 days, you're gone. This is very unfair, sir. This is not the ease of doing business. And today we are digitized. Everything is digitized. Why this 2-day norm even global is there, I don't understand. All the major ports have 2 days cut off for these liners just to connect to the inform Colombo or XYZ this container is coming. I mean, this is not the age. The crane fellow is working midnight, 24 hours. He's not having his tea and coffee. The truck driver is driving. The shipping companies dictate terms, I'm sorry to say, that 3 days before is a cutoff. This is unfair. And Mangalore Port, somehow we have held on to it. I came 1 year ago, they wanted to change it. We did so many things, and it was not with the JSW. It was with the original port people. They called up the guy in Calcutta, XYZ, I don't know history, but I was very vocal there. They retained it. My dear friends, please be friendly. JSW and the liners, don't exploit us. You have technology, you have power, you have monopoly. Government of India also would be charging more after making privatization. Somebody was talking about the cost going up. Obviously, JSW has to pay more money to the government, and that's why these costs have gone up. I'm happy this money goes to the Indian taxpayer and back to it. let the highways come to us and let the infrastructure come to the country. You're all happy about paying genuine taxes, genuine money. If the cost goes up 2,000, nothing. My request is, consider it. It is within your powers. If you ask me, for this you don't need an international approval. This can be done in India by the shipping companies. And each shipping company has got a choice. Please be magnanimous in your working. Today it's a digital era. Thank you.
One final question I want to ask Captain Swaminathan. Now, most of the trade negotiations happening, quarterly. Quarterly, the trade negotiations, they happen. Why shipping line will take negotiations is for every monthly basis? Can't they make it to once in quarter, like 3 months, once in 3 months? Right, price, trade negotiation in the sense the price, container pricings.
You mean to say freight rates?
Freight rates, yes please, yeah. Every month, they keep on changing every month.
No, Stephen, frankly, I'll be very clear. Freight levels, there are 3-year contracts, there are 2-year contracts, there are 1-year contracts, 6 months, 3 months, 15 days, 1 month, and spot contracts also.
No, but in generally, that's service. You meant to say service contract. Service contracts.
Let us not be general. I mean, one thing I will be very clear. Whenever we are in a forum, we would like to be very specific to things. General terms, somebody can get offended. We need to be very specific. If you're talking about contracts, I'm telling you, we have contracts today, spot, that means for a specific voyage. There are contracts for a month, 15 days, Asia to India trade, because that is the demand of the trade. There is no point in you signing a contract today and then after 15 days again coming back to me and saying the freight levels have gone down by $500. So the flexibility as a line today, what we offer and most of the lines offer is a flexibility for the client to choose from what they want, what their business demands. If you want 15 days, there is there. If you want 15 months, that is also there.
Especially on the hazardous cargo, they are only providing monthly basis. That is what I'm trying to tell. Because any freight rate, we send in a request, they say validity is every month. Even for the US trade, validity is once in every month. Though service contract is there, the price increase or decrease will happen every month.
It's also to do with a specific requirement where hazardous cargo charges related to hazardous cargo are totally different from the normal dry cargo. That is the reason why they are priced in a separate fashion.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Normally in conventions like this, when Stephen has asked, that is the last question. So having said that, there are 2 more questions which has come to me here. One is this freight hike, sudden freight hike, 100%, 200%, 300%. Was it a global phenomenon or was it specific to India?
Again, when you talk about India, we followed again the demand and supply that is there. China to US West Coast had gone up to anywhere between $17,000 to $18,000. From China to US.
Okay, no,
from India to US, it went as high, let's say, as $11,000 or $12,000. Okay. Now, again, as I mentioned, across the globe, across all geographies, the rates went up. India to Jebel Ali, the freight levels which used to be, let's say, $150 to $300, went up to $2,000. Was there a supply-demand issue over here? Frankly, the thing was that when the turnaround time of the vessels got impacted, the vessels which were coming inbound skipped a port of call called Jeddah, for example, comes into Nhava Sheva. They are not able to load the Nhava Sheva cargo because the Jeddah cargo is already on board. Now what happens in such a case? You need to discharge the Jeddah cargo and make space for the Nhava Sheva export loading. I'm just giving as an example. It could be Mangalore cargo which is there in Mundra, for example. What happens in such a case is, this cargo has to be ferried back either to Jeddah or to Jebel Ali because that cargo is bound for the Middle East Gulf. So what happened is, the trade which had not blown, let's say, or exploded like the US trade, eventually also exploded because of these kind of short hauls which cargo suddenly came up. And that is the reason why one area where the spark actually got lit. And I am telling all of you, I teach this in the institute. The US was the epicenter of the entire problem. While we can blame China, but the demand cycle that propped up in the US, that is what actually was the epicenter, and the ripples or the shock waves was felt across the globe. Thank you.
One more question is about the exchange rate computation by the shipping lines. When the dollar is hovering around, say, 82 or 83 for your imports, the shipping lines charge 85 or 86 rupees arbitrarily, I mean unilaterally, sorry. How can you do that? Because there are no rational whatsoever. And we have been blindly paying that, so to say, we have no choice between devil or the deep sea.
Sir, one question. This is very interesting. I've been for many, many years. No, but your question, but I tell you. I've been also for many, many years. It's better we all pay in US dollars. It's very easy. Paying the dollar currency. Last 3 months only I started doing it. We have an open solution because all are forex. Just pay in dollar currency, you get your bank rate. I think we have to really exploit it. We are foolish. Because, once again, sir, because on a 10 lakh, if you're paying 10 lakhs, or 10 lakhs per annum, 20,000 you're saying, if you're paying, you say 10 crores, you're saying 20 lakhs. And what we paid in the last 1.5 years is huge to these guys. So I think we have to pay in the dollar currency. I think it's our fault, not their fault. And we got easy dollar currencies. Thank you.
All what I want to say is, I think this was one of the last issues which was settled when I was secretary. State Bank has already got a facility on this. You can use the State Bank facility.
All banks?
Now all banks, but we started off with State Bank. And all the shipping lines have agreed to take directly from State Bank. Yeah.
Yes, in fact, I just met up with a customer yesterday, and he was making the same mention of that. Unfortunately, Karnataka Bank, one of the branches told him that you cannot make the payment in dollars because it's an Indian company.
Yeah.
We clarified, we are CMA CGM Agencies India on behalf of CMA CGM SA. Exactly. Exactly. So it was discussed, CSLA, I think, had clarified. Correct.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
All of you must have seen Sudhir walking in. You know why he walked in.
Right. Thank you so much, sir. I'm really sorry. I know we have a lot of questions, but we are drastically running short of time. And now, thank you, gentlemen, for brewing such interesting conversation today. And thank you, sir, for the moderation. And now, I'd like to invite on stage Mr. Satish Kumar, Deputy Traffic Manager in Charge, New Mangalore Port Authority, to kindly come on stage and hand over a memento to these gentlemen. Welcome, sir. Let's give them a loud round of applause. Thank you so much. And to receive the memento, may I first invite Mr. Jude Gerald Govias, CEO Stems and Leaves International. Thank you, sir, for joining us and sharing your valuable insights with us. Thank you so much. Mr. Abdul Rahman Musba, Head Finance Cardolite Specialty Chemicals India LLP. Thank you so much for being with us, sir. Captain Rajgopal Swaminathan, thank you so much for your interesting insights. He's Director, Commercial CMA CGM. Thank you so much. Mr. KV Premdev, Deputy Director, Marine Products Export Development Authority. Thank you so much for your insights. And of course, I'd like to invite Mr. Walter D'Souza to kindly come forward and receive the memento for doing the tough job of moderating the session where we had so many requests, questions, suggestions, and whatnot. I know you had a tough time. Thank you so much, sir. And sir, before you be seated, may I request you to kindly come and pose for a photograph with our panelists. And may I request all the panelists to kindly step down so that the photographer can get a clear picture of the panel. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's panel 2 of the Cargo Connections Conclave 2022. Let's give them a loud round of applause. Thank you, gentlemen, for the wonderful panel discussion. You may kindly join our audience now. Thank you so much.